You probably have a hot water heater in your RV, and I sure hope you're cleaning it regularly. This will not only help it work more efficient, but it's going to greatly prolong the life of your hot water heater. Today we're going to cover how to flush and clean your hot water heater correctly. Coming up on RV Street. Okay, let's get right to it. Most RVs have two different kinds of hot water heaters. Your RV probably has either a Suburban hot water heater or an Atwood hot water heater. The Suburban one has an anode, and we're not going to cover that one in this video. We're going to cover the Atwood hot water heater. We have a 6-gallon Atwood hot water heater that both runs on LP gas and electric. Very common RV hot water heater. I don't know about you, but when I was a little boy and I used to go to my grandmother's house, she used to clean her little teapot with vinegar and water about once a month, if I remember right, to get those calcium deposits out of her little teapot. That's what we're going to do with the hot water heater. We're going to clean and flush all those mineral deposits on the hot water heating element by using white vinegar and water. So let's go to the hot water heater and let's get started. The tools that we're going to need to do this hot water cleansing and flushing are the following. We're going to need 3 gallons of white vinegar. I just bought these at Walmart, about $1.50, $2 a gallon. A pipe wrench, a pair of channel locks, and for me, I will be using an open end 9/16 wrench because I have changed my OEM plug, my drain plug, to a brass plug. You'll see that in just a moment. Then you're going to need a hose attachment, flushing wand, a roll of Teflon tape, a funnel with an attached piece of hose. I'm using here a piece of clear hosing that is pushed over the end of the funnel. The first thing I do is I turn off the water at the source. Then I come over, I change the valve from normal to tank fill and then back to normal, and I do that to relieve the pressure off of the lines inside the coach. Okay, so now that I have the water turned off, there is no hot water in the hot water heater now, so I don't have to worry about being scalded or anything like that. You can see here that I have replaced my regular OEM plug, that's a nylon plug, with a brass plug. I got tired of those nylon plugs. Usually needed to be replaced every time, even with the Teflon tape around them. They were soft, they tended to jiggle, after driving for a while they tended to leak, and I just got tired of fooling with it. So I went to Home Depot and I found me a brass plug. And if anybody tells you that you can't put a brass plug in this type of material in an Atwood hot water heater, don't listen to them, because you see this right up here? This is the high pressure valve. It is also brass. That is OEM. There is no problem in doing that. So now I'm going to take my open end 9/16 wrench and I am going to loosen and remove the plug and drain the hot water heater. Here we go. To make it drain faster, come up and lift up the pressure valve. There's 6 gallons in this hot water heater. It will drain fairly quickly. And as soon as this is drained, we will put the plug back in and remove the high pressure valve and fill the hot water heater up with 3 gallons of white vinegar. Okay, so the hot water heater is pretty much just draining at a trickle now. To put the vinegar in and to cook this and clean it, clean the hot water heater, I do not need to worry about rethreading this plug at this time. So I am just going to go ahead and put the plug back in, snug it up with my wrench, and that will be sufficient for this cleaning next step. So for the next step, we will take our pipe wrench and we're just going to put it here on the valve. I just replaced this valve not long ago. This is why I also put in the tool list a set of channel locks, because once I kind of just get that broken loose, I usually can just get this here and finish, and then remove it by hand the rest of the way. Whenever I clean the hot water heater, I also usually put a little vinegar in a tub and I soak the high pressure valve in the vinegar also to remove any buildup of calcium and magnesium from hard water inside there too. So we'll just set this off to the side for now. We will now take our hose and our funnel and kind of just stick that down in there like that. And now we will proceed to put in 3 gallons of white vinegar. Okay, just about done here. Okay, that's it. 3 gallons of white vinegar in the hot water heater. I removed the tube and the funnel, and now I will be replacing the high pressure valve, which I have already soaked in vinegar and cleaned it, and I am going to reapply tape, Teflon tape, onto the high pressure valve because this valve will not be coming back off. So we'll now screw this back in and we'll tighten it up. And that should be good right there. Now we're going to go and turn the water back on so the hot water heater will fill completely up with the remaining 3 gallons of water. We want to fill this up with water now. Now that I've turned back on the water, and this is full of water now, and it's 50% vinegar, 50% water, I'm now going to turn on the hot water heater inside, and I'm going to let this heat up and cook for the rest of the day and through the night. Tomorrow morning, we're going to pull that plug again and drain that out, and we're going to see the calcium and magnesium chips in there. We're going to totally clean that out. So we'll see you in the morning. Okay, so we did this initial step yesterday around early afternoon, 1-2 o'clock or so, and I turned on the hot water heater and I let it cook all the way up to 9 o'clock last night. Then I turned the electric water heater off because I wanted to come back here this morning and not have this water boiling. Or boiling hot, I should say. So it has cooled down quite a bit. I've even tested it in the coach, so it's cool enough to handle without rubber gloves or anything. I have now turned off the water, and I have gone back to my valve in the wet bay and released the pressure. So there's no pressure now in the hot water heater. So I'm going to go ahead now and remove this plug, and we're going to drain the vinegar water, the 50-50 vinegar water that's been sitting in there, and it's going to get all that white buildup off of there. And I'll just continue to undo this plug, and here we go. You can see that spring. You can release some of that pressure by opening up the high pressure valve. So go ahead and release some of that pressure right there, and then go ahead and continue opening up your plug, and then open up the valve, and here it comes. Now, while that's doing that, I'd just like to remind you, you know, when we did the wet bay video, you can see the link to it up there in the corner. Since we have the water softener in our filtering system, our hot water heater doesn't get anywhere near the calcium buildup that it would and that it did before we got the water softener. But even though we got the water softener, I still do this at least once a year, but right now I'm doing it twice a year. If you do not have a water softener, I definitely would say at least twice a year. This calcium buildup here will really ruin a hot water heater. And as I'm looking down on the ground, I'll show it to you in a minute, it doesn't look too bad. The last time I did this was in July, which was about 5 months ago. Okay, so now that we have drained the water, we need to flush out the hot water heater. And the way we do that is we turn the water back on at the source, and that will bring water trickling from the top. That water comes in from the top. But that water trickling down there really won't clean out and flush all the remaining residue up in there. So I'm going to do it two ways. I'm going to turn on the water source and let it drip from the top, and I'm going to use my power wand to clean it out. So here we go. So as you can see, by turning on the water, I'm getting a stream through there, but I'm also now going to take my wand and I'm going to put it up in there and turn the valve and start to really blast and move this in and out, and it will be shooting water up into those cavities and getting rid of any residue. See those little chunks? You see that? You can see it all down in here. You see? This is what we're getting rid of that accumulates on the heating element in that hot water heater. So we just keep doing this. And then the next thing I do is I turn this valve off, and I'm going to go turn the water source off. You'll see why in a minute. Okay, I've turned the water source off, and the reason I have done that is that when I'm putting the wand back up in there, I don't want to be fighting up against the water that's coming down. Now I just am going to use the wand only. And I just keep going back and forth, and then turning that head up, and then back and forth and washing out those heating elements. And that's pretty good for now. I think that pretty well did it. Now I'm going to let the hot water heater drain out of all the water. Okay, so just to give you an example of what came out of that hot water heater, you can see down here, I put a couple of rubber mats down here so you could see some of the white flaked accumulation of calcium and buildup that was on that hot water heater element. And you can see here, it's just a very, it's calcium, it's buildup. And as you can see though, it really, I mean, I'm really pleased. It's not really that much. And that softener, water softener, has really made the difference. Even up here in the tray, you can see some accumulation here, but not a whole lot. This is actually about 5 months or so since the last time I have done this. So I'm really, really pleased with the outcome of this. Now that my hot water heater has been flushed and cleaned, I turned off the water. I've reapplied new Teflon tape around my brass plug, and now I'm going to reinstall the plug. As you'll notice, and I don't think I mentioned it, but I'm using my open end wrench because I have changed to a brass plug. when you remove, you'll need a different socket to remove your nylon OEM plug, but going back to this brass plug is the way to go. And it doesn't need to be really tight. You just keep turning it until it just gets snug. Just about like that. And this will not come loose and it will not leak. Okay, so we're going to now close the high pressure valve and we're going to go turn back on the water and fill it back up. Now, some of you may be asking, how do you know when this is totally full? I mean, just like you would in any other situation, as you use water and the hot water heater empties, when you have a water source on, it's going to fill. But if you want to make sure, all you have to do is open up this high pressure valve, and as this water comes up, it'll release air through here, and when it starts trickling out the high pressure valve, you'll know you're very close to being full, and then you'll just close it. So let's just watch it from here. Okay, so there you go. The water is coming out the high pressure valve, so we know that it's right up to here. We just close that now, let it fill up the rest of the way, and we're good to go. Okay, well, you can see this is not a very difficult item to do. Cleaning your hot water heater is not a difficult PM item. It is a very important preventive maintenance item to do. Once a year at a minimum. I do it twice a year, even with my water softener. I want to be sure that I do not get these deposits in my water system, and especially in the hot water heater. I'd love to hear your comments and questions down below. Oh, and I did put links down below in the description text where you can buy the exact products that we talked about in this video. If you click those links and buy those products from those links, we make a few pennies to help support our channel, and I'd really greatly appreciate it. Oh, and don't forget, if you haven't subscribed or hit the like button, man, that would be awesome too. It'll help promote our YouTube channel. So there you have it. Yes, you should be cleaning your hot water heater on a regular basis. Now go do it. This is RV Street. Stick around.